So we should be okay, video and audio? Okay. We're up there.
Well, then I hereby call to order the meeting of the Albany Industrial Development Agency Finance Committee. Before us, we have, a note for the record. I guess we should do a roll call.
Please.
Okay. Daria Shonfar is here. Lee Eck.
Here.
Shakeen Hoke.
Present.
Tracy Metzger.
Here.
Dominic Calcelaro.
Here.
Bob Schofield.
Present.
Susan Petto. Here. All right. Every single member of the agency is here, including all, obviously, of the Finance Committee. First order of business, the minutes haven't been distributed. I would call for a motion to waive the reading and accept them as presented.
So moved.
Please, Dominic second. Is there any discussion, any additions, deletions, subtractions? All right, all those in favor of the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we have no report from the Chief Financial Officer, so move into unfinished business, which is Broadway 915. And though I think for our individual purposes here, we don't need to go into another presentation on the project. I'm not sure if we should do that for the purpose of our being on video.
We'll have an overview from Andy of
Okay.
where we are in the procedures of the Industrial Development Agency, as well as a quick recap of the project.
Sure. Thank you. The project is the proposed construction of a 5-story mixed-use residential commercial retail structure containing approximately 80 market rate apartment units and approximately 6,600 square feet of commercial retail space on the ground floor. The project site will also include approximately 75 off-street parking spaces. The estimated revenue gain to the taxing jurisdictions, the status quo taxes on the site currently is $630,738. The projected pilot payments over the course of the project will be just over $3.8 million, leading to a net benefit of approximately $3.2 million. The property value increase, the current assessed value is $510,000, and the anticipated future assessed value of the completed project is $6.8 million, with a net increase of just under $6.3 million to the taxing jurisdictions. The expected total investment of the project is $22.8 million. And as with all projects seeking agency assistance, we request an employment impact analysis be done through IMPLAN by the Capital District Regional Planning Commission. They were able to do that, and the temporary construction impact is $23.7 million, and the permanent operations impact is approximately $1.7 million. This project is expected to create 4 permanent jobs and approximately 150 construction jobs. As part of the request for assistance, the project applicant requested a deviation from the framework. That deviation being the base assessed value be kept at the current assessed value of $510,000 for the first 5 years of the project. With in year 6, the base assessed value increasing to the purchase price of $1.4 million. As such, we asked a third party to review the appropriateness of that requested level of agency assistance, which they did. The executive summary was provided as part of material posted, and if Virginia would be able to pass out the full memo, that would be fantastic. The consultants analyzed the investment returns, income and expenses, and other aspects of the project for appropriateness, coming to the conclusion that the request at hand was within reason, and the returns, expected returns are reasonable.
And again, you've had this distributed to you previously as
Correct.
part of your board material. Thanks, Virginia.
I got one, thank you.
Dominic?
Yeah, just to note the 5-year, first 5 years to keep it the base assessment, the first 2 years of that is during the construction phase
That's
too,
correct.
so there wouldn't be any income coming in during at least the first 2 years of that 5 years, right?
That's correct, and the applicant is here as well, as you all know, has requested approximately 28-month construction period to get the project completed and up and running, and for the amount of work that needs to be done on the site, and the aspects of new construction. That request is in line with some projects we've seen recently.
But those first 5 years of where we're freezing the assessment starts after the
Correct.
20-month construction period down there.
So it's a little over 7 years.
It's, so 7 years total, okay.
Well, so
I
to
just
to
wanna
clarify,
get this
during construction, the pilot would not
Right.
be in effect.
Okay.
And so it would, be on the rolls, as stated, the pilot would kick in after 28 and a half months, per
Oh, okay.
the applicant's request. And at that point, the pilot assessment would be fixed for the initial 5 years in order for the project to stabilize and then move
Yeah.
forward. That's the request in front of us today.
So we have the letter from the assessor on the projected assessed value at $6.8 million, even though there is a $22 million plus investment. You want to go through the matrix, or?
Yes, that would be great. So starting at the top, going through our project evaluation and assistance framework scoring analysis, under target geography, project receives a point for being high vacancy census tract, a point for being located downtown, and a point for being located within a neighborhood plan, that plan being the Impact Downtown Albany Plan. Job creation, identified priority, the project is downtown residential as well, for a total of 4 points under revitalization. The job creation category, the project receives a point for 4 projected full-time equivalent employees, and the project receives 2 points for an expected 150 construction jobs on site. For investment, the project receives 3 points for an investment amount of $22.8 million. And of note, as the applicant alluded to during the public hearing, the developer anticipates utilizing a significant percentage of regional labor during the construction process, with those scores adding up to 10.
Right. Of course, it meets the baseline requirements as well.
That's correct.
All right. So any questions or anything further? All right. I know for the record that we've gone over already that the increase in pilot payments to the city is well over $3 million. Compared to what the project would bring in revenue to the taxing jurisdiction, city, county, school district, and library district, which is a good return, I think, for the taxing jurisdictions.
I think of note too, Chair, as it was mentioned during the public hearing, this project does fill in what is essentially a gap tooth in the streetscape between downtown and the warehouse district. It's a critical property and was cited as such in the Clinton Square Downtown Revitalization Initiative plan as well. So in addition to the financial benefit to the taxing jurisdictions, this has been cited frequently as a necessary project to further revitalization in downtown, the warehouse district, and Arbor Hill.
As a tax collector, that's all well and good.
Sure.
But no, it's a much needed project, I think. Anything else? Any other comments, questions? I will note also for the record that that no one came to testify at the hearing today, pro or con, and no comments were received either, which I think from our experience here, if development projects touch a nerve, we often hear a lot of negative commentary, but none has been received. So with that, I would ask for a motion for a positive recommendation to the full board.
Before that, I don't want to speak for Bob, but I wasn't here to see whatever was presented, the pictures or renderings. And I'm pretty sure for people that may have tuned into the video, maybe want to hear a little bit about the project from the developer. Or
But that's fine, if you want. Mark, you want to just go through it again, what you did at the hearing?
Right, so this is the site plan of the property. 745 Broadway is located, this is 733, the lots at 733 Broadway right here. And then next door here is the post office annex. A little further south is the Quackenbush Square. Right, and currently Fairbanks property is developing a residential property right across the street from us. So this shows the first floor layout of the building. It'll be approximately 12,000 square feet of commercial space, of which approximately 6,500 will be retail. Balance will be building amenities, rental office, fitness center, lounge area. So the building will be an L-shaped building. The driveway main entrance to the building will be off of Broadway. The actual building will cantilever over the driveway for the upper stories. And then we'll also cantilever over these covered parking spaces here. It's a 5-story building, approximately 100,000 square feet total, and approximately 75 parking spaces, majority of which will be surfaced, but about 15 will be covered. And if put the rendering, please. So this is the rendering of the building facing Broadway, and there'll be 80 apartments, 4 of which will be affordable housing units, state zoning code. And the retail space is the driveway going into the property, and then the retail space and main entrance to the building.
what kind of affordable units are those going to be?
It's pursuant to the City of Albany zoning code. So I believe it, and HUD regulations, so it's 30% of the median, the rent cannot exceed 30% of the median income for the area.
I believe the figure was about $1,100 per apartment for the
Yes.
affordable. All right,
Will you just have one retail space there, or can you subdivide
Potentially 2, Tracy. It could be subdivided into 3 also, but I'm hoping that it would be 2.
And that top floor, is that balcony or is that just
No, that's
like-
apartments, but there are balconies throughout the property,
okay,
so almost
Oh,
every
I see.
apartment has a balcony.
okay.
that? Nice.
I think of note that Finance Committee has had the benefit of reviewing this project now for multiple meetings. The project does not yet have its City of Albany planning approvals at this point, so our action today, should we move it to the board, it will hold, as we always do, the approvals from city land use boards.
And for the pilot, there's no, we didn't have a request like we did for the other project for the commercial space to be considered homestead, right? That's not an issue with this one.
This,
Can you repeat that, Dominic? I'm sorry.
The commercial space is gonna be, that's taxed as non-homestead, right? I mean, for the purpose of the pilot and everything.
so I think we're,
Yeah.
yeah, it's non-homestead. The request that has come in previously from projects is to use the residential multifamily pilot schedule instead of the commercial pilot schedule. I believe on this one, because the size, Andy, we want to walk through that.
So, yeah, it is, the abatement schedules are as per the framework, so the commercial space will be subject to the commercial abatement schedule. That's correct.
that's set forth in the spreadsheet.
And all of that, both the multifamily as well as the strictly commercial space, that is all at the non-homestead tax rate.
All are, I believe. Yeah. Right. Any other questions, comments? Well, then I would call for a motion for a favorable recommendation to the IDA board as a whole on this project.
So moved.
Tracy, second. Second. Gene? All right, all's in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Good job.
Any new business? No? Okay, on to other business.
We have, actually, Tammy, or can I have on the printer, I printed out a legislative update. There are a couple of packets for that. So we'll start with the, thank you. We'll start under agency update with, know that I like to geek out about things from time to time, and I am geeking out about our newest progress here at the City of Albany Industrial Development Agency. We're going to talk a little bit about website upgrades and changes that we discussed previously. I think first of note, Hodgson Russ put together a really fantastic primer on the public documents that need to appear on Industrial Development Agency websites, and we're going to talk a full review of that. We are nearly entirely compliant. We're trying to add a little bit of efficiency by breaking out individual policies that are part of our policy manual and identifying those very explicitly and very clearly that is how to find those, or that they're spelled out. And so Andy and Virginia have been doing a good job parsing through that and making those upgrades. The fun stuff, though, is related to the more interactive portion of the website that we had talked through. Ooh, that printed out. Yeah, that's really perfect, but really big. So that's our next agenda item. So that has nothing to do with the website yet. Virginia's going to walk us through a project that she's been leading here since she came on board with Mike Bone, helping to make our website more interactive and user-friendly, and be able to have a searchable project section. And so we'll give you a little sneak peek into that this afternoon. We anticipate this going live in the next month or so with the full backlog of active projects. So if you take a look at the screen, Virginia's going to walk us through the functionality that we're building out.
So this is the project, Project Index. As you can see here, I have the search for Central Avenue for the projects that I'm going to show you this afternoon. But you are able to search items based on location or street name, date, project name specifically, and or project number. So I'll click on Swinburne first. You can see here we have the project address, some specific applicant information, so the owner and developer as well. We have the description, approval date, just some key metrics as it relates to each project. And then I think most importantly, for purposes of transparency, the project documents and meeting materials is most important. So Swinburne, this is just another variation, again, of the previous screen that you saw. You can see here that you can click on, for example, the final project summary, form, and then we have other pertinent documents such as the project benefit analysis, kind of what we've been over today, but this is for the Swinburne project. And then we also have meeting materials, meeting minutes, as well as public hearing documents. So I'll just click on, just to give you an example, the public notice specific to the Swinburne project. And then if I go back, we can do the same for the Central Ave. It is important to note that going forward, we do anticipate to add photos for each subpage, for each project. We would also be looking to link a map for each project. For the projects that are newer projects, so 915 Broadway today, this screen will also have the link to the live IDA YouTube channel. And so this is just the beginning. We are looking to, as Sarah mentioned, to increase transparency. Most of the documents that are on the page are not required. The only document that is required for the IDA website that will be included on the website is the project benefit agreement. So at this time, if you have any questions and or any feedback, we will take that.
So I will say on the back end of our website is not particularly user-friendly. And so kudos to Mike and Virginia for really pulling this together. Mike really working with our IT group to be able to build out the framework. And it's no small task to go back through our roughly 100 active projects that we're working through to pull all of this information, pull it in a very user-friendly manner. And so Virginia's doing an excellent job going back through. It's also pushing her into the deep end of learning all of the IDA projects because she's got her eyes on all of them.
You're welcome.
Immediately. But this is really going to be a huge step up, and we've
I
already
agree,
This is terrific.
yeah.
been pretty much a gold standard on being able to have information out there. The search function, while central was the search term that brought up those two projects, and these are the two sort of fully built out projects. You can search, as Virginia mentioned, by, if you want to know every project that a certain developer has done through the Industrial Development Agency or a particular owner as part of the ownership group. If you want to search by the year of completion, that will bring up a subset of any of those search terms. So the fluidity of that transparency is really exciting from a user perspective. It'll help with media relations a lot as well, because the documents, instead of telling someone, go back to the Finance Committee meetings from 2017 and then search through each of them, we're doing the work, and by we, I mean Virginia is doing the work on the back end to pull those together so that when someone searches a project, everything's right there for them. So we're proud of this at this point. It's going to be fun to really assess.
Great.
How far back are you going to be able to go with this?
I'm uploading all the projects.
All the way back to the inception of the IDA?
Yes.
Wow, great.
Merry Christmas.
We're trying to start with the recent ones first,
Yes.
and
I
then
think
go
that's a good
back,
idea.
to
Yeah.
be able to just get there. But it is a lot of work. The payoff of being able to have everything in one spot and easily accessible. It is also going to create efficiency on staff time as well in terms of fielding questions and pointing people to resources going forward. So once it's all in there, the upkeep going forward is still a considerable amount of effort, but will help cut down on some of the additional search and find.
Well, the next round of questions comes in as results from people being having the ease of access to it. And
That's what we're here for.
you can't foresee issues and questions that are going to come up after that, as I can attest. Terrific, that's great.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, good job.
Looks great.
All right, anything else in the compliance update, or do you want to go to the
We do,
legislation?
under agency update, this ginormous printout that
Don't need my glasses.
clearly I should not be trusted with the printer. This is
Might have saved paper
a
though, I don't know.
document, and it's really readable. So unlike most of the stuff that we print out for you, you can really read this one. This is actually a document that the Economic Development Council had put together, sort of a running tally of IDA and public authority legislation that's introduced at the state level for this session. We are tracking a number of bills coming through. You can see a snapshot of some of them. They have implications for board makeup, project and meeting notification. It really runs the gamut. There are a number that are getting traction. You can sort of see through this where those are. The Economic Development Council is really taking the lead on organizing industrial development agencies from across the state to help weigh in on language to help make the legislation more effective for accountability and transparency for industrial development agencies, and also point out where things may be problematic from an operational standpoint. So we can go through those, and if you've got questions as you move through it, we can mention that, but also feel free to reach out between meetings to talk through any of these and ideas or concerns that you may have on each of them. We also did get a chance to meet with Senator Skoufis recently during the EDC conference last week. He invited EDC as well as a number of IDA staff to come in and talk about IDA operations and some of the proposed legislation out there. I think the takeaway from that meeting is that there are really two areas of concern. It's just the number of public authorities and the ability to maintain accountability based on that, and then really trying to curb bad actors or situations where organizations have the opportunity to take advantage of sort of non-compliance, that there's quite a bit of compliance measures out there, but a desire to tighten those compliance regulations to catch any bad actors. So it was a really productive conversation. I think we were able to talk through the diversity of IDAs and IDA projects across the state. There were representatives from Sebring County, Erie County IDAs at that meeting as well. And so it was interesting to hear just directly from the senator really where the concerns were and have an opportunity to talk through some of the language as well. So as we've talked about previously, IDAs are very much in the center of a lot of ongoing legislative discussions, and we'll keep a pulse on that and bring it back, particularly these bills that we're tracking. We'll keep updated on the progress of those as well.
All right.
I can almost also email this out so you're not saddled with your tabloid size.
I don't mind it.
No, I don't mind it at all, quite honestly.
Great.
All
So
right.
that's it under agency update. We can move into a compliance update. I think I'll start quickly I wanted to touch on two of our more delinquent projects that we've been speaking about recently. We'll rely on Joe Scott to give us a little bit more of an update on his conversations at the full board meeting next week. But we continue to work with the Dialect project on the corner of Lark and Madison to determine a path forward and their pursuit of a tenancy for the ground floor retail space there. As we've discussed previously, we have talked to them about potential termination should that space not be filled. And I believe the council has had productive conversations with their council regarding that, so we get an update next week there. That is something that the community surrounding the building is very much focused on and aware of now, and I've been in contact with Richard Conti, the local council member, on that project to keep him abreast of the agency's activities on site. And so once we have a sort of final determination there, we'll be able to communicate that as well. In terms of 960 and Nipper, we have been in conversations now with the lender for those properties, and we'll have a more thorough update on those for next week as well. Particularly, we're focused on two things there. One is the reporting requirements that they have to provide for this round of reporting for Paris, but also what is going to happen with those properties going forward. So we're keeping tabs on that there.
Still bogged down in litigation.
It is. So we have a draft document passed out here. You are familiar with this. It's been a year since you've seen it, but this is going to be our first iteration of our Paris report. This is supposed to be on a nice big sheet of paper so you can read it. Luckily, so you've got that in front of you. Please, and I'm going to let Andy walk you through some of this. I think really understand that this is in wildly draft form at this point. We are getting results coming in. This is the information that we will be uploading to Paris by the end of March. You'll see this here at Finance on multiple occasions. We'll also do this in Governance and with the full board as we get more and more concrete answers in. But Andy, do you want to walk them through sort of the highlights and?
Sure. Sure. So with the great assistance of both Mark and Virginia, we're in a really good position in terms of the compliance tracking that we are required to do as it relates to the straight leases, what you see in front of you. And obviously sticking with the giant paper theme here is the straight lease active projects with the IDA. We're also tracking bonds, and as Sarah alluded to, we'll go into that progress at a later date. But really right now you can see here there's 67 active straight lease projects, and 55 of them have reported to us. Some of them have reported in draft form, and we have an open dialogue with them in getting their compliance documents complete. And also of note, of the 55 projects that have reported to date, there's only 7 jobs that are reporting less than 80% of their projected jobs numbers. As with any project reporting under their projected job numbers, we will have a detailed summary as to why, and we are currently working with those project applicants to make sure that summary is appropriate and accurate. Of note.
Sorry, Andy, just the 80% threshold is important, particularly for our recapture policy. And so not all of these projects are subject to the recapture policy because many of them were approved prior to that requirement being enacted by the Industrial Development Agency. That 80% threshold per our policy requires the board to do a more in-depth review of those projects because that the board has determined is substantially failing to meet the job reporting requirements.
And so of note, of those 7 projects, none are subject to our recapture as it is for projects that closed after 2016. Most of these are older projects, but nonetheless, we're gonna look at the circumstances very closely as well. One other piece of trivia that I thought was interesting was that we have 19 projects that are currently under construction, which I think is one of, if not the highest counts we have for that, which really shows to the level of recent activity we've had here in a few years. So we'll be tracking those as well. But I thought that was really interesting, just showing the amount of volume that we've seen come through this agency. That was really it, unless there's questions. And again, we will go over this on a project by project basis in upcoming meetings.
Any other questions or anything?
Just, you told us how many were below, you have I don't want to count them. Do you have an idea off the top of your head how many are above employment numbers? Or should we just count them? I don't want to count them. I'm just trying not to count them much, if we can. I mean, I don't know if you had a quick number of any. Yes, I know.
We could get that to you. Typically, we see a very, a majority of the projects that aren't under construction. We should note that. We kind of remove those from the conversation because obviously they can't have any
Right.
full-time employees, but we typically see a majority of the projects, a comfortable majority, either reaching their projected numbers or going over their projected numbers.
It looks like at least 15 or over.
Yeah, it looks like there's quite a few. That's, I mean, it's at least 2 to 1 to the ones that are under.
Great. All right. Anything else?
Nothing else.
Any other business?
When does this have to be completed? Was it
The end of March.
end of March? I thought.
All right. So I guess I'll call for motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Sorry, I had to excuse myself. That's fine.
All right.